Hello there, good evening. It is the 12th day of December 2024. Welcome to Starr today here on Starr FM. And coming up this evening, double declaration of election results rocks some parliamentary seats across the country as the opposition NDC vows to resist any attempt to undermine the will of the people.
Total rejected 294. Total vote cast 36,769. With this, I declare Ernest Kumi as the MP elect for Akwatia constituency. Thank you.
We take you live to the Tesano Police Training School where the coalition of disputed results in the Eastern region is underway, and also hear from an election observer group, Kodeo. Meanwhile, a security analyst has condemned the recent post-election violence in various parts of the country. Tonight on Starr Today, we place the radar on the recorded incident which has led to the police intensifying their manhunt for those involved in such acts.
And for those who are on the run, we want to ask them, how long can you run? And those in hiding, how much longer do you intend to endure this self-imprisonment? Whatever you do, whatever it takes, we are coming for you.
We will also gauge the thoughts of the outgoing and incoming governments on efforts being put in place to nip this in the bud. And later, Ghana's president-elect John Dramani Mahama to investigate the deaths that occurred during the recent elections in order to ensure justice for them. And later in the bulletin, we sit with the NDC's Deputy General Secretary, Mustafa Gbande. We have the details of these and other stories making up this 1 hour, 30 minutes broadcast. Do stay.
Starr News is coming to you live on Ultimate 106.9 FM in Kumasi, Empire 102.7 FM in Takoradi, Cool 103.5 FM in Ho, Rage and Might FM in Tamale, Sonali FM in Wa, My Star Radio in the USA. Also live on Facebook on Starr 103.5 FM and on starfm.com.gh around the world. This is Starr 103.5 FM.
Thank you very much for your company on the bulletin this evening. I am Tutu Adan. So remember that this bulletin is streaming live on our social media platforms, especially Facebook at Starr 103.5 FM. You can join us there with your thoughts and comments.
The babies were tempered. Yeah, we are.
There is uneasy calm at the Tesano Police Training School today following the redeclaration of some parliamentary seats in the Eastern region. Heated exchanges have characterized the exercise, which has resulted in the double declaration of winners of Saturday's parliamentary elections. Now, the disputed areas which are being recollated include Fantiakwa North, Akwatia, Suhum and Insawa Madridri constituencies. You recall that on Monday, December 9, the returning officer for Fantiakwa North, Zachariah Adams, declared NDC's Haruna Apau Redu as the MP elect in that area. Take a listen to him.
After the coalition, we had total valid vote 21,985. Total rejected 581. Total, so when you add it to the total vote cast is 22,000. 566. Now, MPP.
Kwame Appiah Kudia.
Wait.
NPP Kwame Appiah Kudia had 10,000.
MPP Kwame Appiah Kudia had 10,940. 847. And Honorable Haruna Apauridu had 11,138.
Oh.
So, on that note, the power vested in me as a returning officer for Frontier Conduct, I declare Honorable as the winner.
Well, that was the returning officer for the Fansiakwa North constituency, Zachariah Adams, declaring NDC's Haruna Apauridu as the MP-elect for that area. But that declaration appears to have been reversed by the deputy returning officer for the constituency, who earlier today declared the NPP's Kwame Appiah Kudia as the MP-elect for the Fansiakwa North constituency.
Total votes cast 23,282.
In the absence of my returning officer and the power vested in me as the deputy returning officer, I therefore declare Mr. Kwame Appiah Kudia of the MPP as the winner of the parliamentary elections in the Fantiaka North constituency.
Well, let's get some reactions on the back of this and go live to the coalition to Tesano Police Training where the coalition was happening, where my colleague with sister station Kasapa FM, David Che, joins me for a conversation. David, thank you very much for joining us. Walk us through how many seats have been declared so far by the EC officials. Hello, David. Well, we are trying to reconnect with my colleague with our sister station, Kasapa FM, David Che, for clarity on what has been happening at the Tesano Police Training School, because earlier in the day, the results for the Eastern region that were still under contention were supposed to be cleared by the Electoral Commission, and so David is positioned there to help us get clarity on the back of that. But let me also take you to the Akwetia constituency, where Ernest Yaokumi, the NPP's parliamentary candidate, has been announced as winner of the just ended polls amidst the disputes.
Ernest Kumi had 19,269 votes. Henry Biadomboache had 17,206 votes. Total valid votes 36,475. Total rejected 294. Total vote cast 36,769. With this, or based on the results so far, based on the results mentioned, and on behalf of the chairperson, I declare Ernest Kumi as the MP-elect for Akwetia constituency. Thank you very much.
Well, those were sounds from Akwetia, where the NPP's Ernest Kumi was declared as the MP-elect for the Akwetia constituency. But I was telling you about happenings at the Tesano Police Training School, where the recoalition of some constituencies in the Eastern region had to be done there, owing to some contentions that happened after the elections ended. And these constituencies that were under contention are in Sawam, Adwejiri, Suhum, and of course, Fansiakwa North constituency, and of course, Akwetia, where we just heard that the EC there declared Ernest Yaokumi as the MP-elect for that area. We're still trying to reconnect with our colleague David Che on what is happening in that constituency. David, if you can hear me, thank you very much. Kindly walk us through what has been happening at the Tesano Police Training School. Unfortunately, the lines don't seem to favor us this evening. But let's talk about election-related violence now, because now record violence was recorded in the Wejagbari constituency, where members of the NDC have alleged that The figures were manipulated in favor of the NPP's parliamentary candidate, Jerry Ahmed Shaib. Our reporter, Obed Kingaglo, has the details in this report.
Yesterday that we came here, we came to meet some infractions about this electoral process. We know before declaration of results, the coalition sheets are filled and the summary sheet will be filled and the declaration sheet will be signed by agents. Now we came here and we saw district officer and his other colleagues filling some portions of the form. So we have to confront them and find out why are they doing that after declaration. So what formed the basis of their declaration on Sunday? And up to now, no proper reason have been given to us. So it has been concluded that we move to the EC headquarters to resolve this issue. And this is unfair, and this cannot be countenanced in our elections.
You are confident that your own internal tabulation, you won the elections?
Definitely.
And the situation escalated to a point where military was called to take control of the situation. As you can see right behind me, we see military officials trying to protect the electoral official to be able to move to the regional coalition center. But the crowd is charged, insisting that the right thing be done before everybody leaves here. But the twist of event of moving the process to the national headquarters of the police agitated the already angered members of the National Democratic Congress. Let's talk to headquarters.
Yeah, I just heard it and we don't know what they are going to do about it because they don't declare in the elections at the police headquarters. This is where they declare elections, and this is where we want them to hold us as high esteem. Listen to our call, listen to our cry, and make sure that our votes really count. We want them to declare the election here. What are we going to do at the police headquarters? Please tell me. What are we going to do at the police headquarters?
We don't vote at the
Actually, we don't declare election at the police headquarters.
We don't see the reason why we should move from here to police headquarters. This constituency, there is no voting going on there.
Starr today, first, fast, and credible.
That was a report filed by my colleague Obed Kingaglo, where earlier violence had erupted at the Wejagbari constituency because the constituents there believed that the NDC's parliamentary candidate had won the election and the EC was trying to maneuver the system to favor Jerry Ahmed Shaib, who is the NPP's parliamentary candidate, who has been declared actually as the MP-elect for the that constituency, that is the Wejagbari constituency. But from the Greater Accra region, let's return to the Eastern region because we want to get some clarity on what is happening in that region. Let's go over the phone lines now and speak to the Eastern Regional Chairman of the New Patriotic Party, Jeffrey Kunedu. Mr. Kunedu, thank you very much for joining us here on the bulletin. If you can hear me, you were at the Tesano Police Training School where a declaration was made. Walk us through exactly what transpired. Well, we are trying to have a conversation with Jeffrey Kunedu, who is the NPP's regional chairman for the Eastern region. Because of that dispute that had happened with some constituencies in the region. I'm talking about Suhum, in Sawama Dredri, Fantiakwa North, and of course Akwitia, where the NDC wouldn't allow the Electoral Commission to just do its work because they believe that their candidates for the respective constituencies have won the election. We're trying to get some reaction on the back of that because Jeffrey Kunedu was actually at the Tesano Police Training School where he monitored happenings, where Akwitia, for instance, we know has been cleared, but he's back on the phone lines now. Let's engage him. Thank you very much, Mr. Kunedu. So you were at the Tesano Police Training School where the declaration was made. Walk us through what exactly transpired.
First, fast, and credible.
We'll bring you that conversation subsequently, but a security analyst, Colonel Festus Buahin Abwaji, has strongly condemned the recent post-election disturbances in various parts of the country, which involved the invasion of state institutions and, in some cases, the looting of state assets. But we'll play that sound shortly. But let's go over the phone lines now and speak to Jeffrey Kunedu, who is the Eastern Regional Chairman of the New Patriotic Party. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us. I hope that this time around you can hear us. So I was saying that you visited the Tesano training police school. Walk us through exactly what inspired. Hello, Mr. Kunedu.
I think your network is bad, so call back.
I hope that you can hear me now. Can you hear me now?
First, fast, and credible.
Starr News is coming to you live on Ultimate 106.9 FM in Kumasi, Empire 102.7 FM in Takrady, Cool 103.5 FM in Ho, Rage and Might FM in Tamale, Somali FM in Wa, My Star Radio in the USA. Also live on Facebook on Starr 103.5 FM and on starfm.com.gh around the world. This is Starr 103.5 FM.
Let's go over the phone lines now and engage Jeffrey Kunedu. He's the Eastern Regional Chairman of the New Patriotic Party. Mr. Kunedu, thank you very much. I hope that you can hear me this time round. So, you were there at the Tesano Police Training School. Walk us through exactly what inspired.
Well, I'm still here. We are left with two constituencies in Salmon, Dwejuri, and that of Sukun. We are almost done with them, and then the EC can go ahead and declare.
Okay, so if I understand you, two of the constituencies have been declared in your favor. Which ones are these?
Pantiakwa North and Akwetia were declared in favor of the NPP.
Okay. I need some clarity. So why wasn't the declaration made at the constituency level, but had to be brought all the way to the regional capital?
Well, it was not brought to the regional capital, but because of violence. In Pantiakwa North, the NDC went and started the EC office. In Akwetia, the same thing happened. And in Sukun, the whole coalition place were essentially scattered. So then the EC wanted to do it at the regional office, but for the threats of violence by the NDC people, the EC decided with the police that they move it to the Tesano Police Training School. And that is why we have to do it here. And today it is being done here, almost done.
Okay. Now, a few days ago, we understand the NDC's parliamentary candidate there was declared as winner for that constituency. Unfortunately, we lost Jeff again. But let's return to post-election violence, where a security analyst, Colonel Festus Buahin Abwaji, has strongly condemned the recent post-election disturbances in various parts of the country, which involved the invasion of state institutions and, in some cases, the looting of state assets. Well, the incident, believed to have been perpetrated by alleged hoodlums of the incoming NDC administration, include attempts to take control of key institutions such as the Ghana Gas Company and the Ghana Ports and Harbour Authority. Now, with such acts increasing by the day, the leader of the New Patriotic Party caucus, Alexander Penyumarkin, believes the president-elect, John Dramani Mahama, is behind such moves.
You send your proxy to act in your stead. You benefit from it, but the consequences thereof, you don't want to take responsibility. It's pretense. And that is why we are calling on the president-elect, President John Dramani Mahama, that he has already soiled his hands with the blood of innocent Ghanaians. The president-elect, even proud to the swearing in, has already soiled his hands with the blood of innocent Ghanaians. The peace of this country is so important, is so critical, that should be his responsibility. That's all I want to say.
I just want to thank the people of Ghana for the over.
Starr today, first, fast, and credible.
Starr News is coming to you live on Ultimate 106.9 FM in Kumasi, Empire 102.7 FM in Takrady, Cool 103.5 FM in Ho, Rage and Might FM in Tamale, Somali FM in Wa, My Star Radio in the USA. Also live on Facebook on Starr 103.5 FM and on starfm.com.gh around the world. This is Starr 103.5 FM.
Well, let's have a conversation on the back of the earlier reports where I told you about some post-election violence that have been recorded in some parts of the country where some persons purported to be supporters of the NDC have invaded some state institutions in a bid to loot state assets. But let's go over the phone lines now and engage Colonel Festus Abwaje, who is a security analyst. Thank you very much, sir, for your time this evening. First of all, what do you make of all of these post-election violence?
Well, thanks for having me. I had indicated earlier that there is no evidence to suggest that the alleged looting of state assets is being orchestrated by the NDC. Now, what I think is happening, which is different from the narrative that started emerging Sunday, Monday, and so on, is that some aggrieved MPP youth or members have besieged like the Ghana port or the passport office or the NADMO office at the forestry division in Accra, Achimota, for instance, to demand that they be given employment, or to suggest that they have not had their fair share of the benefits that should accrue from their toil. So they are trying to, have access to some of these resources. But on the other hand, when the information had gone into the societies, some youth had also gone there who made the NDC largely, to stop these other youths from moving those kinds of status. I mean, I didn't mention the Ghana gas or Ghana bottling or whatever it is, Ghana gas, for instance. Then there is the other narrative that some officials of the ruling government, let's say Tamale MCE, or elsewhere, an MC or district, whatever, assembly chief, who have stores like fertilizers, like iron rods, like cement, or who have a fleet of the grid machines that came in recently for road improvements. The impression or the information is that some of these officials are trying to misappropriate, these state assets, whether by selling them or moving them from the stores to some other locations in order to sell them or to turn them into their personal properties. So it is a mixture of grievances. On the one hand, MPP youth or MPP members try to, satisfy their needs or aspirations or hopes. and some others like the NDC trying to stop it. Now, what this picture suggests, once again, is that government is not functioning. Because when governments, after election, when we're in the period of transition, it doesn't mean there are two governments. It still means that there is only one government. And that one government devolves on the national security architecture, which was in establishment or in existence during the elections. The only difference was that during elections, we have crafted a separate mechanism that we call National Election Security Task Force, led by the police. And this year particularly, we have emphasized that the military in a democracy has no role in frontline law enforcement to go to ballot stations. They could be in support. They must be grouped and then assembled elsewhere. And as and when the police needs the support or assistance of the military, then they come in. So it is a failure of government asserting itself, in order to protect what belongs to the state, to stop people from looting. I spoke with a very senior police officer a short while ago, and I said, I had heard, not on social media, on mainstream media, I wouldn't want to mention the sister station, that some V8 or whatever were being auctioned, which might have prompted the president to issue that public statement that no official or anybody should appropriate or misappropriate government vehicles. On social media yesterday, and I told this to the senior police officer, that there is a report that a certain official at the Ministry of National Security had access to 15 cars and was moving the cars away. You see, it is this special. Indeed, I was suggesting to the senior police officer that the only way to prevent these rumors, let's assume they are rumors, is for the authorities to constantly inform the population as to what is going on. If the government doesn't respond, either civilian authorities or the law enforcement officials don't respond, then it becomes very difficult for people now to believe some of the things that, we hear in the media or we see especially on social media, which is not controlled, by any government as such. So that is where we are. But lastly, let me suggest that we as Ghanaians, I don't want to use the word that we are stupid or foolish, but we don't learn lessons. But what is happening? Happened in 2000. I wrote an article about how in 2001, those who were leaving government were trying to lay their hands on anything they could have. At that time, somebody was interested, I wouldn't mention his name, in that article. But in 2009, when the same thing happened, and I wrote another article, and I sent it to this, personality to publish in his newspaper, he refused to publish because in 2009, the outgoing MPP was also trying to do the same thing that is happening now. So my question is, why do we as a people fail to learn lessons and put in mechanisms to ensure that the state stays stable? Which is why we have the government, which is why we have national security. So when we're having the elections or before, IGP laid out his 5,000-page plus security arrangements. The government should have done its estimates using intelligence sources and other, means at its disposal, and put in a plan that it was not to be yesterday or 2 days ago that the military was going to be deployed to some installations. The plan should have existed. And alongside the election, the military could have been positioned already that immediately after the elections, then their role would change from supporting the police in elections to protecting state assets and state facilities. We're not learning. We're being greedy. You see what I mean? I mean, the vehicles, the whatever, NADMO, buckets, rice, oil, blankets, they belong to the state.
Absolutely.
After all, during the Akosombo disaster, the state didn't have enough to give to, the victims. So this subculture, as I call it, must stop. And governments, whether NDC, MPP, or in the future, any other government, must have, the presence of mind based on history, which is why we study history.
Okay, Kennel, you have raised a number of points, and I need clarity on some of them. So you talk about the fact that there is no evidence that these persons may be supporters of the NDC. I mean, these persons that are invading state institutions. You also talk about the fact that they may also be party supporters. I mean, the NPP supporters who feel that they have been sidelined, and so they want to, get what they think they deserve. But why would they want to do that? I mean, considering the fact that this government expires in less than 30 days.
But that's what I've suggested. Maybe you were not listening to me. I've suggested that it is only when these persons appear in court that we would know their true identity.
Right.
However, empirically, there are two sides of the equation. One side are those aggrieved MPP youth or MPP members or MPP followers who want their due share of the goodies before their government leaves office. The other side is the NDC, who also want to stop any looting from taking place before the transition. And I'm arguing that these things were bound to happen because they have happened in 2000, 2001, and then coming forward 8 and 9, and then 16, 17, and now 24, 25. So it's a failure of government.
All right.
Basically, that's what is happening. I hope you get what I'm saying.
I absolutely understand.
When the government was up to the task, and all of these facilities, to the extent possible, were protected. But let me end on one note. The senior police official that I spoke with updated me that 123 persons have been arrested as of the time I was talking to him, which is about an hour ago. Now, my point is, and it's not a point that I made to him, but my point is, we know where the violence are taking place. We know Nyankpala Tolong. We know Tamale. We know, what do you call it? Utusenya or
Utusenya East.
Yes, East. We know about other places. We know that empirically, at these places, Nyankpala and Utusenya East, they were NDC members, including a member of parliament, outgoing. So if 123 persons have been arrested, has the state been impartial in arresting all offenders, not only NDC offenders and not only MPP offenders, but all offenders, including a Futu, where somebody was allegedly beaten up? The senior officer has corrected me that the person didn't disappear, that he advised himself to go and stay somewhere. That's fine. But violence took place. So where violence are taking place, my advice to the state is that the state must be very impartial and dispassionate in, addressing these violence. We don't want to hear tomorrow that only NDC members have been arrested when Howard Kumsen, who ordered her followers to shoot and shot and killed an NDC member, is walking free. That is not the kind of society or democracy that we want. The state must be very, very fair, even-handed. That's my last point that I want to make.
But finally, in all of these post-election violence, can the EC be absolved from it?
Well, why I say the EC cannot be absolved is that when she came out publicly to say that she was not responsible for election security, I disagreed with her. Look, the violence that we are seeing have been triggered by electoral malpractices. So therefore, the EC is responsible. Now, how can we sit at a ballot station, 3, 4, 5, 6 of us? The EC official, presiding officer, fills a booklet with duplicates and then tears out the duplicates to the party agents. Then 1 hour later, these duplicates are projecting different figures. How can it happen? The EC's own figures are different. The copies had been written, some of them in a different handwriting, a different ink. So the EC cannot absolve herself because some of the officials have been complicit in the malpractices. So therefore, if the EC was not up to the task in ensuring that the elections were conducted in a free, fair, transparent, credible manner, then she takes part of the blame. It's not a question of look, there was one incident where the media reported, I can't remember whether it was Ablekuma or Domikwa Benya, whatever it is. But it was an EC official who invited the police to come there. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, the IGP had educated all of us that in the event that the police cannot manage the crowd, it is the most senior police officer at that location who would invite the military. So an EC official inviting the police is itself a breach of whatever plans and protocols that were established. So therefore, the EC is part of the architecture. All the violence, if I should say, or most of it, tomorrow when we sit down to do the analysis as Kodeo and Co would do, they'll realize that it was a failure of the electoral procedures that caused the mayhems and are still causing mayhems. That the Tesano Police Academy, political parties have assembled from 5 constituencies. Why should it happen? You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So, of course, when we learn the lessons, we will suggest that let's find more modern ways, efficient ways of disseminating the results after the collation at ballot centers. Multiple mechanisms. The hard copies are one form. People photographing that sheet, the original, with their cameras, i.e. the political party agents, emailing, faxing, sending them physical copies by whatever, let me suggest, by armored vehicles, not by taxis, and not by unmarked vehicles. I mean, how can an EC, in a country where we say we are the beacon of democracy, at the end of balloting, the EC official wants to now go and rent a taxi or an unmarked car and move electoral material? I mean, how? And then the EC says, I'm not responsible. The places where the lights went out, the EC officials held a press conference. They said, we had provided monies for renting generators. But when the lights went out, the generators were not on. You see? So the factors, the underlying factors for the violence were the failure of the electoral process for which the EC is responsible. Therefore, the EC takes part of the blame. Probably the fundamental blame goes to the EC.
Right.
And that is what she must understand. And not wash her hands and say it is finished. It's not finished. You see, we need to investigate. I mean, we saw 2020, didn't we hear her?
We did.
Reading the results or declaring them multiple times. She assured us that, it wouldn't happen again. How can you announce presidential results and change 6 million votes plus to 6,000? Of course, she corrected herself. But it doesn't mean that she didn't slip. Now, what about the two candidates whose nominal figures, raw figures, vis-a-vis their percentages are wrong? So this EC has a history or a knack for errors, computation errors. She needs to go. But we can't live with this. You've got all the staff, including professors. You've got all the machines. Why should you compute figures in this day and age?
Colonel, I think I want to hear this again. Did you say that the EC must resign?
Why not? Why not? Because she has demonstrated a lot of incompetence and inefficiency. Look, I'll share one article I wrote weeks ago, where I catalogued the deficiencies and inefficiencies and incompetencies of the EC. It's too much. And I'm asking you, how can we have, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 constituency collation results in dispute to the extent that everybody is holding a different pink sheet? How? How can it happen? You and I are not responsible for elections. Yeah, EC says I'm responsible. So how did it happen?
Okay, Colonel, in
yes, go ahead.
I mean, in the event he refuses to resign, do you think that the next government should initiate processes for her removal?
That is for the next government. But as I can say, Abana Edibotechino, if that is correct, is the same Abana that we used to beat back. So the circumstances under which Charlotte Osei was removed will follow, or Ghanaians should follow the same procedures, excuse my language, petition the president with all the evidence adduced, for the EC to go. I mean, out of good sense, the EC must resign. That's as simple as that.
Right.
You don't need to be pushed to the wall. I mean, she would know. The problem is that we as Ghanaians, we as Africans, don't have any sense of excellence. When we perform abysmally, we say we are doing well, we have done well, we are the beacon of democracy. Look, we lost 8 lives in 2020. We've not even investigated them. The head of state has not taken the public platform to tell Ghanaians that we lost 8 lives and to apologize to the bereaved families. Now we've gone to this election, we've lost 3. So in 2 elections, we've lost 11 lives. But hitherto, before 2020, we had not lost any lives in general elections. Only by-elections were violent. Now, as we speak, our by-elections are violent. Of course, IGP did well because of Kumawu and Ejisu, and I think Asinop or whatever. But otherwise, by-elections have been violent. Now our general elections have been more violent. They've been deadly. We are losing lives. And then in the aftermath of that, the transition is also fraught with violence and destruction and thievery. Is that a democracy? So we better sit up and acknowledge that, yes, we have run successful transitions, but there are several defaults, weaknesses in the system that we need to address.
Okay, Colonel, briefly before you go, I just want to pick your thoughts on this. I mean, you have been very emphatic about the fact that the EC chair needs to resign, and you've also talked about the fact that it is up to the next...
Not only the EC chair, all the officials there who have, questionable political affiliation, they must all be removed.
Okay.
You see what I mean? Look, there are several people. Somebody has mentioned Dr. Kwete, for instance. But anybody who is openly affiliated to a political party, belonging to youth organizations and TESCONs and so on, cannot, or for that matter, a professor or a political scientist lecturer who makes statements that are compromising, that a certain political party is a threat to democracy, that individual has lost, any credibility about being even-handed. That person cannot, the day after, be holding an EC appointment. So the evidence is there. If you want peace, then out of good sense, these officials must advise themselves and go. If they are not leaving, then society, civil society, ordinary society must prevail upon the incoming administration to follow due process in order to effect changes in the composition of the Electoral Commission.
Colonel, let's just look at this scenario. I mean, in the event that what happened to Charlotte Osei in 2016 does not repeat itself, would you advise any private individual to file a petition for the removal of the EC chair and the others whom you say that have got questionable traits or political traits?
Well, I think what happened in Charlotte Osei's case was that certain individuals group themselves together and petition the president. It just happened that some of them happen to be members of the EC. But anybody can petition, I believe. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a legal brain at all. But I believe that anybody can petition the president and adduce evidence. Now, when I say adduce evidence, it is not the type that the Yoko chief says that when I, Professor Sabuaji, says that the EC must resign, and as I've adduced in my paper for A, B, C, D reasons, that I need to bring better evidence. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that when that evidence is presented, that is why the state has an attorney general. The state must use the attorney general's department to now gather, information, for instance, documents. I don't have the time to write letters and, requests for information. I don't have time. I'm not a CEO, so I'm just an individual. But I'm saying that the state exists not for the party in government. And this is a mistake that we've been making. That every state institution, for instance, national security, has become a regime security. But national security is national. It's the state of Ghana, the nation of Ghana. It is not the president or the government in power. You see what I mean? So when somebody says that these are the reasons I'm adducing for the EC to be removed, those other aspects that require other detailed information that exists in government archives, the Attorney General's Department must take the steps to find those pieces of information in order to prosecute the case in court. But I think there is sufficient empirical evidence. It's a while since I wrote that paper, but there are several of them. And the least are what happened during these elections. The places where 4 hours later, election material had not arrived. The places where power went out and there were no generators. The places where these sensitive ballot materials, which are needed for evidence in litigations, were being moved or were about to be moved in taxis and unmanned vehicles, for instance. That shows inefficiency. It shows mediocrity. It shows incompetence. So it shouldn't happen. I'm always told that when the EC goes to Parliament with a budget, she's given all the money that she asked for. So where were the generators? Indeed, if the EC doesn't want to buy the generators because after elections they might deteriorate, fine. But your logistics department, your administration department, must ensure that across the country, the EC has procured, rented generators and set them up. Somebody referenced the funerals that you and I organize. I've organized funerals. At least I've organized a funeral for my mother. You see, you reach the town before you get there. You have arranged for somebody to bring a generator and wire the place up. You have arranged for sound systems. You've done this, you've done that. You've arranged for caterers to bring cocoa and buffalo, this and that kind of stuff. These are things that are done by individuals, village people. And EC, with all the budget that she has, cannot manage the logistics to organize elections. So if people want to argue, fine. But I think that we need to have a sense of excellence. The person who landed on the moon, a few seconds later, I hear that director or whoever at NASA, Florida, wept and resigned because the landing was not precisely as they had programmed, the module to land. That is what moves them, and that is why they are going to outer space. It's a sense of excellence, to be precise, to achieve, and not when you have failed, then you pat yourself on the shoulder. Oh, yeah, dear. You see what I mean? Like Ashanti is going to funeral, bringing all those things. Oh, yeah, so, that is not how we should manage a country. This has not done well.
Okay. Colonel, thank you very much. We appreciate your time this evening. I've been engaging a security analyst, Colonel Festus Boahen Abuaji, retired. Let's also talk about election-related issues now, because lawyer Isaac Mintalabi, representing the NDC's parliamentary candidates for the Fantiakwa North constituency, Haruna Apau Redu, has announced plans to cite the Electoral Commission for contempt. Now, this follows a controversial development after an injunction and writ of summons were served to prevent the EC from redeclaring the results of the Fantiakwa North parliamentary election. According to Lawyer Labi, the declaration made in Accra by a so-called deputy returning officer was unlawful as it was not authorized by law. He argued that the only returning or official returning officer, as empowered by law, has the legal right to declare the results of the election. Take a listen to him.
What we call duplicitous. They've just duplicated the declaration which has already happened. But in this instance, what they have done is that they've done it wrongly and not in accordance with law. So the first one prevails. Now, here are the distinctions. The elections was conducted in Fantiakwa North. When I say that, some people may not know, but in this region, when you say Begro, people really will get that. So Fantiakwa North. That is where the elections were conducted. The ballots were cast. They were counted, etc., collation, etc. There were some issues. Of course, both parties, NDC and NPP, their candidates were not happy. Eventually, they have to resolve it. And that's what you are referring to Tuesday. So on Tuesday, the returning officer, who by law is the officer mandated to proceed to declare the winner of the elections, proceeded to do that. I believe you have seen the video. So two things here. The returning officer, backed by law, is the one who did the declaration. Two, he did that at Fantiakwa North, where the elections took place. And that is where his jurisdiction is. What I'm hearing today is that the Electoral Commission has done some collation or recollation at Tesano. Tesano is miles away from Fantiakwa North or Begro. So I'm wondering what they are doing. Secondly, in this country, there are only two returning officers for elections, one for parliamentary, one for the presidential. In terms of parliamentary, the returning officer for the constituency for that elections is the one who has the power to declare the winner. That is it. Now, in terms of presidential, the returning officer is Jim Mensah, who is stationed in Accra, obviously. So I don't know under which authority they are saying they've done another.
He also described today's declaration as illegal since there is not any law that backs a so-called deputy returning officer to declare parliamentary election results.
I even didn't want to go into it, but once you have asked, let me put it this way. Their conduct at this stage with respect to the second so-called declaration is already contemptuous of the court. Because as at yesterday, in the afternoon, a writ was issued together with an application for injunction, which was served on the Electoral Commission. And they are fully aware. Their officers have confirmed we have the proof of service in the courtroom right now as we speak. Then this morning, you say you've gone ahead to go and do another. You see, this is what I'm referring to as the disorderliness and the disrespect of the law. You understand? At this stage, their remedy does not lie in a regulation or whatever they want to call it. The bottom line is that the NPP candidate has lost. If he's not happy, he cannot go and hide in some room with somebody claiming to be some deputy or whatever and have him declared. The proper procedure and remedy is to go to court. That is it. If the Electoral Commission itself, in faced with the fact that there's a rate of summons together with an injunction application which has been served, can flagrantly abuse and disrespect the court and proceed to go ahead and do another whatever, that should tell you that these are a bunch of disorderly people. In fact, Ghanaians have rejected this, and we should not tolerate this. Just like we had Jim Mensah come out to go and declare His Excellency incoming president and President-elect John Dramani Mahama. Then 2 days after, we have Bosman Asari also saying that I've declared somebody as Alan Tremanti. You can't have that in this country.
That was lawyer Isaac Mintalabi, who is the counsel for the NDC's parliamentary candidate for the Fantiakwa North constituency. But let's return to Tessano, where I told you about a redeclaration of some of the parliamentary seats from the Eastern region, and now engage my colleague, David Che. David, thank you very much for joining us. I hope that you can hear me now. So kindly walk me through how many seats have been cleared by the EC so far?
Okay, thank you. So right now the EC has already declared in Fantiakwa and also Afatia, and all are going in favor of the MPP. But now Peter Palmer is speaking right now, so I would like to join you on the interview.
Absolutely.
To declare the result. Same has been done in Fantiakwa, where some officer who is not a returning officer has been brought here surreptitiously to re-declare results that have been declared already with the declaration issue. And so, if we are talking like this, that's why Kito says that when you are dining with the devil, use a long spoon. Indeed, when you are dining with the devil, use a long spoon, because they are inconsistent and deceptive. All the things they are saying are the things that they are doing. They are applying violence across the country in the police sectors, and this is leading us to this kind of confusion that we are having. But they will turn around and accuse the NDC. All the declarations that we have done, that we had at the regional office, you could see it was right in front of you. You saw that it was not under duress, particularly even at the Fano. The returning officer was insistent and telling the NDC that if they are not ready to produce a thing sheet, he is going to declare the result. He kept on saying that, and the regional director said, so if the returning officer wants to declare the result, he should declare. Who put him under duress? Nobody has put anybody under duress. They have done their collation, the NDC has won there, and they have been declared. If the NDC have lost miserably and they are misbehaving, they are misconducting themselves, they can only be classified as thoroughly inclusion, but not to put the blame on us as having destroyed the process for police. Okay, sir, yeah, you are live on Starr 102.5, and so thank you very much. Hello?
David?
Hello? Yes, madam.
Is he still on?
Yeah, he's still on. Would you like to ask me some questions?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, sir. Hello?
Hello, sir. We've been joined by Peter Brahma Otokuno. Thank you very much for joining us here on Starr FM. Now, what really are your concerns? Is it with the fact that
the line is very faint? Can you forward? The line is very faint.
Unfortunately, technology doesn't seem to favor us. Let's still stay on some election-related issues because our President-elect John Dramani Mahama has pledged that the incoming NDC government will not misuse its majority status in Parliament, vowing to engage in consultations with the minority on key legislative issues, while he emphasized the importance of inclusivity and consensus building in governance, stressing that his administration will work to ensure that all the voices are heard, regardless of party affiliation, in the decision-making process and governance of the country. President Mahama made these remarks when he received a delegation of Muslim leaders by the National Chair, Chief R, at his residence.
Of Ghana for the overwhelming endorsement they've given us. I think that the people of Ghana realize the enormity of challenge the next government is going to face. And I think that that's why they've given us this stamp of authority to be able to take the bold decisions that will turn our economy around and put our country back on its feet. And so I want through you to express my appreciation to all Ghanaians for what they've done. But it also puts a responsibility on our shoulders to work assiduously for the people. It shows us that Ghanaians are slow to react, but when they have had enough, they will punish you if you don't work in their interests. And so I make it a reminder to all those who are aspiring to work in the new government that it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be business as usual. It's going to be hard work. And so if people are not prepared to work hard and to sacrifice for Ghana, then they better stay in the private sector and stay wherever they are. I wish to assure my father and our fathers that we're not going to misuse the majority we have in Parliament. Even though we have a huge majority, more than 2/3, we're not going to misuse it. We're going to consult with the minority at every stage and make sure that we do things by consensus instead of railroading everybody. Everybody knows that I'm a typical diplomat and a Democrat. And so I believe in jaw, I believe in consensus building, and I believe in democracy.
That was former President, or President-elect John Dramani Mahama. But let's return to the Tesano Police Training School, where we understand that Peter Boama Otokuno is still speaking.
Hello?
Hello, sir.
Okay, so he's having a key interview right now, but I have with me the NDC chairman for the South constituency, Mr. David Adewale, and he would like to release some concerns of his, so I'm putting him on.
Okay, okay, that's okay.
Hello.
Thank you very much, sir, for joining us this evening on Starr Today. What I want to understand is, has that seat been declared for the NPP or the NDC? Hello? Sir, I'm struggling to hear you. What I want to find out is, has the Nsawam Adredri seat been declared for the NDC or the NPP?
A full complement of patients. It's not telling us he doesn't just a fraction of it. Apart from that, he is coming in with photocopies of pieces for collation. This is unheard of. Now, the real issue that is leading to this was on the Saturday of collation. A lot of them came in with some parts, children and other people sitting, tearing everywhere. Now, so the youth decided to take him on and so on. So now what happened was, in the process, he shot somebody. Now, if you can perpetrate an injustice like this, and then we have police people around who will just leave you just like that, and you are talking about us not responding well to electoral process, that is unfair. We will not take this. Look, by the rules of the engagement or the rules of the game, we need to collate with original pieces. And then what happens is, when the EC brings out our tendencies pieces, we will compare with political parties pieces. Once they are valid, we do entry. Now that you are having photocopy of pieces, how do you collect with photocopy? Why? How do we collect with it? So we in the Nsawam Adredri NDC, we are not accepting photocopy pieces. We need original pieces from Electoral Commission compared to our carbon copies. That is our stand now. Hello.
Hi, I can hear you loud and clear. So what I want to find out is, has the Nsawam seat been cleared by the EC yet? And if it has it been cleared for the NDC or the NPP?
Please come again. The line is very faint.
What I'm asking is, has the seats for the Nsawam Adredri constituency been cleared by the Electoral Commission? And if it has it been cleared for the NDC or the NPP?
Okay, so the constituencies that have been cleared by the East is Akwatia and that of Antiapa North, all in favor of the NPP.
So just 2 out of the 4?
Sorry?
2 out of the 4?
The line is very faint. Please come again.
What I'm asking is that, is it 2 out of the 4 seats that have been cleared by the EC?
Yes. 2 out of the 4. So what we are waiting for right now is that of Nsawam and also Suhum. But the 2, Akwatia and Fantiapa, has already been cleared, and that is going in favor of the NPP.
Okay. Now, earlier we understand that the majority leader Alexander Kwame Appiah-Markin was there to show support to Frank Anadompre. What really happened?
Come again, please.
David, I'm asking that we had heard earlier that the majority leader Alexander Kwame Appiah-Markin was there earlier to show support to Frank Anadompre, who is a member of parliament for the Nsawam Adredri constituency. Help us understand what really happened.
He's still around observing he's still around at the moment, but he's having some interviews with some people at the end. But it's not like.
Are we able to partake in that interview? If you can do that for us briefly.
Okay, leader is currently on phone, so I'll call you back when I get him.
That's okay. That's okay.
I'll call back when I get him.
That's okay. David, thank you very much. That is David Che with my sister station, Kasapa FM. But The Executive Director for the Africa Centre for Parliamentary Affairs, Dr. Rashid Dramani, has expressed worry over the highly tilted nature of the upcoming 9th Parliament, warning accountability may be difficult to demand, while the NDC currently has over 185 seats, having crossed the 184 seats mark, needed to control 2/3 of Parliament. But while the NDC has promised not to abuse its dominance of Parliament, Dr. Draman says the high attrition rate of experienced members capable of holding the government to account makes the numbers tally a bit worrisome. Well, he spoke to Nadi Teti earlier on Morning Star.
What makes me worried is the fact that when it comes to holding the government to account, all over the world, the majority of cases, that is the business of the opposition. It's very difficult to get members of the ruling party to be very active in holding their own to account. I just hope that we are going to see something different here. When you look at the numbers, first of all, the absolute kind of numbers that we are going to see in the 9th Parliament, and then you add to that the fact that even before the whistle was blown to commence this process leading us to where we are now, we saw a lot of heavyweights from Parliament say we are not going to contest again. And then we saw what happened on December 7th. A number of the experienced ones are gone. And then in addition, they don't have the numbers, such a way that they can spread a lot of the experienced ones, for instance, at the committee level and then maybe their front bench and so on. So when you look at all that,
well, let's cross over now to the Tesano Police Training School, where we understand that the majority leader, Alexander Penyomarkin, is addressing the media.
Hello.
Hello, David.
Hello. Yeah, so we have the leader of the House right now, Honorable Alexander Penyomarkin, here right now. So he has something to say. I would like to...
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you for having me.
Hello, well, thank you very much for joining us. Now, we understand that you were there at the Tesano Police Training School to monitor what's happening there. What are your observations so far?
Well, I think that so far so good. I am satisfied with the security arrangement, except to say that our friends in the NDC are unduly frustrating the process, but that's part of it. The objections that they are raising here and there, I mean, it's within their rights. I cannot question them. All we require is that we should do so in a peaceful atmosphere. Initially, they tried to delay the process. They were supposed to be here at 8. They delayed in coming, but eventually they came. At least we are done with 2. The 2 all went in our favor. After, Fantiakwa North and Akwetia. Now we are on Suhum and in Sawom Adwejiri. Tomorrow we'll do the remaining in other constituencies, and then Saturday we'll continue with other constituencies there where there are controversies. We are calling on our friends in the NDC to observe the process, to stop their vigilantes. They should stop the tax. They should stop all those people who are taking the law into their own hands. At least all we asked for as a country was this democracy. And this is what we all want. And democracy requires due process. You know that Dr. Baumia did not wait for official announcement by EC. Upon MPP's own internal coalition, we came to a conclusion that we had lost the election. As a decent Democrat and as a true gentleman and a statesman, he decided to concede defeat. My point is that the NDC should follow the example of Dr. Baumia by calling on its parliamentary candidate to equally concede where they know they have lost, rather than tearing the coalition sheet, banking on tables and all that. At least today, we have not experienced it. We are commending the police for demonstrating professionalism, taking control of the process. We are commending the EC for taking control of the process, and we urge them to continue. That is all that we negotiated for as a country. Due process. Nobody should threaten anybody. And let me add that I am so surprised at Mr. Sandogwe that he misconstrued my call on His Excellency President Mahama to call the rampaging youth of the party to order by inciting NDC youth against me, threatening me on a social media handle and all. I'm surprised at him that at this point he is so intolerant and he's the aide to the president elect, and he's so intolerant and he will begin attacking me on his Facebook social media handle. I find it very unfortunate because all that we're doing here is to ensure that the right things are done and nothing else.
Now, congratulations on winning the Fansiakwa seat and then, of course, the Akwetia seat. But the lawyer for the NDC's parliamentary, are you able to hear me, sir?
Hello?
Can you hear me?
Hello?
I'm going to try. Are you able to hear me now?
Yeah, the line is breaking. Hello?
Are you able to hear me now, sir?
Hello?
Okay, I'll just go ahead and ask my questions. So, the lawyer for the NDC's parliamentary candidate in the Fansiakwa North constituency says that he is going to cite the Electoral Commission.
From the majority leader, Honorable Alexander Afenyomarkin, dropping his concerns with regards to the ongoing. Hello?
David, are you able to hear me?
Hello?
Hello, David. Well, that was the majority leader, Alexander Afenyomarkin, who was or is at the Tesano police training school there, monitoring developments there as the results for the 4 constituencies which were under contention in the Eastern region were brought to be recollated and redeclared if need be, where we understand that so far the NPP has been able to win, per the declaration of the returning officer there, the Fansiakwa North constituency seat and the Akwetia seat. But senior political scientist at the University of Ghana, Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante, has downplayed concerns, arguing it is the will of the people. And this is in reference to Parliament, the 9th Parliament being the Rabastan Parliament. Let's take a listen to him.
You see, what you see in Parliament in terms of representation is the expression of the people's desire. So nobody else should be. I'm not sure we have any power to tell MPs that voters that when you are voting, think about Parliament, the people you are putting there, so that you don't get absolute majority and all that. It's a function of so many things. Yes, it's a function of public anger about governance that was in office, for which reason they decided that enough of that nonsense and that they want to replace the government with a government that they deem fit. And that is why we see the numbers that they have turned out and saying that you go to Parliament and go and be our representatives, and that it should be a learning curve for you, and that if in the future you also perform miserably in this way, you suffer the same fate. For me, there's nothing wrong with the way Ghanaians voted. That is how they want to express themselves. Nobody can legislate against that. What we have to do is that we have to also police Parliament so that they will do the needful, that they will not take us for a ride. Remember, whatever they do there has consequence on the society, and we, as ultimate beneficiaries of their actions and inactions, we also have power to also change their destinies in the next election.
Now, the police have heightened security measures as disputed constituency ballots from the Eastern region have been relocated to Accra for resolution. The exercise taking place at the National Police Training School in Tesano is under strict protection by both the police and the military personnel. Meanwhile, NDC parliamentary candidates for New Jaben North constituency, Samuel Adongo, has expressed concern over the prolonged process of declaring the results.
The Ghana Police Service has enhanced security measures for the collation of 4 outstanding constituencies in the Eastern region. The 4 outstanding collations have been relocated to the National Police Training School here in Tesano, Accra, with a fortified security presence of the police and military to ensure the safety and security of the entire process. One of the constituencies has been successfully completed leaving the 3 which collation processes are still ongoing as of now. A similar arrangement has also been made in the Ashanti and the Bunu East regions for the remaining collations, where the police are waiting for the Electoral Commission to confirm the date for these exercises to take place. The police wish to assure the public that adequate security has been provided to enable Electoral Commission officials to carry out their duties without obstruction.
The problem is all about not being able to confirm everything at the polling station, and ballot boxes, pink sheet and all those things have to go around through so many channels before getting here today. Doesn't make everything like genuine again. That is the whole problem, and that's our major concern now. I'm done with my issue, but my problem is with my brother Harun of Begro. You don't understand. Everything was done and he won. So we don't know how come everything has to go through that so many channels getting here and everything has to change again.
Now, in every campaign season, as witnessed in Ghana's 4-year electoral cycle, much is said about the candidates in the race. Now, some statements are humorous, others are provocative, and a few others are outright contentious. But must everything be said at any cost? Well, here is how Emmanuel Jabin captures the notion. Posterity will be the judge of it all.
I want to be able, on the 7th of January 2025, to go to Black Star Square in Accra and hand over the baton of government to the next MPP presidential candidate.
Theatrics, political banter, a grasp of strategy, or share allegiance. What does it all mean?
NDC paying for no. Say, Yantiasia. Say, me say. Need to be Jamachi Emma. Now go for one and Jimmy watching you be a mayor, but you had Machiado. Only Baby 2 were Kunyaso. I think I may have been born, no Baby Sakunaso, Ambassador Ambassador.
He wasn't alone in sparking debate.
The thing about NPP party, I about Benry. See, I'm about to that platform, so me and the power, I'm my NDC. Esida.
NDC Pro, Omo 2024. Abado Omo winning there. Omo winning. Now, where we near about anymore now? Where we near about anymore now? Let's go on now. Let's go on here because Omo winning. If you are somewhere, you can't walk price on. And what the engineer? You know we need you for more and you for more.
Then it escalated.
I have had cause to beat my chest and say that we are going to win these elections at all costs.
And if you don't win, you should cut off your head.
Yes.
Do you so stand by it?
Oh, yes.
Winter said, Mahama, and we need this election, yeah. Move pack kerosene into me, Munamonsheme. I'm telling you this. Live studio, Ghana phone na ebeshe.
Was there reliance on signs here? Perhaps.
We are not going to allow the NDC to win, and the MPP, we are going to win this 2024 by air, by land, by sea. We are going to win it by fire, by tender. We are winning. How we have brought Ghana economy to this stage, don't you think MPP will sit down and plan how to win election 2024?
And rightly so, because we had to revisit this classic moment.
That's unforgivable. That's unforgivable. I hope you will allow me to withdraw that statement. But,
ultimately, the people's verdict prevailed.
Ladies and gentlemen, I have the singular honor as the returning officer of the 2024 presidential election to declare His Excellency John Dramani Mahama as the winner of the 2024 presidential election and the president-elect of the Republic of Ghana with a total percentage of 56.55%. Congratulations, sir. It is finished. Thank you very much.
Onipa, me ba me betu no wakonwa no so no. A bibia me ye no so enya no fe.
With the MPP losing the election, the transition team is now in place. In a striking turn, President Akufo-Addo, once resolute in his stance, has pledged his unwavering commitment to a peaceful handover of power.
By adhering strictly to the provisions of the Transition Act, we send a powerful message to the world that democracy thrives in Ghana, even in challenging times.
Perhaps in the end, posterity isn't just the judge, it's the compass guiding the nation forward.
That
was a report filed by my colleague Emmanuel Ijabing.
Starr News is coming to you live on Ultimate 106.9 FM in Kumasi, Empire 102.7 FM in Takrady, Cool 103.5 FM in Ho, Rage and Might FM in Tamale, Somali FM in Wa, My Star Radio in the USA. Also live on Facebook on Starr 103.5 FM and on starfm.com.gh around the world. This is Starr 103.5 FM.
Well, before we take leave of you, news coming in is that the NPP's vice presidential candidate, Dr. Matthew Opoku-Prempeh, has released a statement. Let me just read out excerpts of that statement to you. He says that the 2024 presidential and parliamentary elections resulted in a victory for the National Democratic Congress. This was not the outcome we in the NPP envisaged, but we respect the verdict of the Ghanaian people. Now, to Ghanaians, we have heard you clearly and with humility. We accept. We will work with you to get it right. I am grateful to the Lord Almighty, the giver of life, for bringing me this far and for the honor of this opportunity given me to serve my party and Ghana. I have had extensive discussions with our flag bearer, Dr. Mohamed Bawumia, to reflect on the outcome of the elections, and in good time, we shall reflect further as a political party on the causes of our 2024 election loss. I am grateful to His Excellency, the Vice President, for nominating me as his running mate, and to the NPP leadership for the overwhelming support I received. I thank party faithfuls, my team, family and friends, and countless others for their confidence reposed in the ticket and for this enterprise. I believe the NPP's values, ideals, and traditions. As we go into this period of honest introspection and reflection on this electoral verdict, I'm confident that we will emerge stronger and bounce back to win the trust, confidence, and support and affections of Ghanaians. May God bless Ghana and the NPP and make us all resilient and strong. Thank you. Signed, Dr. Matthew Opoku-Prempeh. And that wraps up Starr Today here on Starr FM. Thank you very much for your time. This bulletin has been produced by Echo Anan, Benjamin Saki, Prince Essien, and of course I'm Stuart Dan. So Kojo Mensah will be here with me tomorrow to do the news together. But thank you very much. For more news updates, log on starfm.com.gh. I'm Stuart once again, and a big shout out to Emmanuel and of course Joey for making sure this bulletin was streamed live on our social media platforms. We're back tomorrow, and next on your dial is Star Chat at 7 p.m. Have a good evening.